This is GeneOnline, and we're at ACR 2022 here in Philadelphia, and we're speaking with Don Ross, who's with RemeGen. How did you get involved in RemeGen?
That's a great question. I originally was engaged as an investment banker to help them find global partners for their two lead assets. Last year, we completed the first transaction, which was an antibody drug conjugate. We did a transaction with Seagen that had a $200 million upfront and a $2.6 billion total deal value. We're very pleased with that, and we're thrilled to have Seagen as our partner.
So what is the company's philosophy, and how did it get started?
Sure. RemeGen was founded in 2008, and it's a really extraordinary story. The founder, Dr. Jiamin Feng, he is now our CEO and Chief Science Officer, and the primary support is our chairman. His name is Mr. Wang. And between the two of them, they formed a partnership and decided we're going to go into a space that really almost no Chinese biotechs have ever gone, which is let's go and be innovative and try to drive real solutions for unmet medical needs. And for the better part of the first decade of their existence, just about nobody in the world heard of them, because we only hear of companies when they're looking for a partner or they're looking for funding. And they had everything they needed. So they emerged in the arena of 2017, started in 2008, emerged in 2017, and they have an exceptional pipeline of very promising drugs, and one of them is telitacicept, which is why we're here at ACR today.
I was going to ask you about the highlights here at ACR and what you're seeing.
Sure. The meeting has been great. I think everybody is glad to be back in person. A couple years of virtual meetings, it's not the same. And we were fortunate to have presented our phase 2B data at the last in-person meeting, which was 2019, and that really made a lot of waves, got people excited. And then here at this conference, I've seen a lot of advancements in the area that I'm focused with RemeGen is systemic lupus and several other B-cell mediated autoimmune diseases. But within lupus, I think the evolution and all of the lessons learned from so many prior trials, most of which didn't come to successful conclusions, but we all as a community try to learn from these trials.
I was going to ask you, what are some of the challenges involved?
Sure. So the biggest challenges have to do with a high placebo response in the trial. So you're testing a new drug, you believe the drug mechanism is going to help patients, and you enroll patients in the trial, and you want to see a separation, right? But in the span of a 1-year trial, you can really have response in that placebo group by just giving them a lot of steroids. So steroids can mask this disease, they can make the patient feel better, they can do a lot of things, but they also have very bad long-term effects, right? So they destroy bone, so it's been really challenging to work with the investigators to be disciplined about, if the patient is stable, let's try reducing the steroids and give our product a chance to show that it's picking up the difference and helping the patient out without the steroids. And that's really one of the biggest challenges.
And is this something that you're trying to do here now at ACR?
It is. So we're embarking right now on a phase 2-3 study. It's a seamless design. First 90 patients are in the phase 2. And that study is already ongoing, but here at ACR, we're trying to really help the rest of the rheumatology community know about what we're doing, about our product, and invite them to be sites and enroll their patients in our phase 3 study, because recruiting in this space is very, very slow and difficult. And we have this huge urge to move this along and get it to patients, because it's approved in China. We've treated more than 10,000 patients as of the end of October. We know it works. What we don't know is whether or not the phase 3 process globally itself works. That's where we're we need all the help of the community.
So tell me a little bit about any other drugs that are coming down the line.
Sure. So I'll expand a little bit actually on telitacicept, because telitacicept has a mechanism that targets Bliss and APRIL in B-cell mediated autoimmune disorders. And that is not limited to lupus. In fact, there are many diseases where that is a central part of the pathology of the disease. And so we have IgA nephropathy is a very serious disease that this is a central player. We have myasthenia gravis, Sjogren's syndrome. There's also lupus nephritis, which is the more renal progression of lupus, and then beyond those, I think there are others that we're investigating in earlier clinical studies. So we don't see this as just kind of a lupus drug. We see this as a fantastic drug for lupus patients, but we think there are many patients who will ultimately benefit from this drug.
And when would we optimally be able to put this on the market?
Sure. So I think globally we are targeting a 2026 launch, and that would be if we hit all of our timelines. So I want to be realistic. There's always hurdles in our way, but the really great thing is that in 2019, with our exceptional phase 2b data, the Chinese regulators granted us conditional approval just based on the data. The condition was to run a phase 3. And so we have launched the product, and we're treating patients, and we're seeing people get better, and we're seeing the momentum in the market. Our sales force is telling us patients are coming into their doctors and saying, I need to get on this drug. It works. Like, everybody knows it works. Let's do this. And so that's really exciting to see in this little market in China, but we want to be doing that for patients globally. And so there's still this uphill battle of getting through the regulatory process and everything else in all of these disease states.
So have there been any surprises here at the conference, or people you've spoken to for yourself?
I think so. This is the first conference that I've been to where some of the there's some other recent approvals, and so I've gotten to learn more about some of the other drugs that have been developed, and as is the case in this disease, each of them have faced their own challenges in getting approval, and so I don't want to speak of it at all as competitors. It's more of a camaraderie. I think we're all looking at this patient group, and we want to do something. So last night, actually, I was at a dinner that was hosted by one of the other companies, and I think there is a council, a corporate lupus council. It's basically made up of I think more than 20 pharma companies that are getting together to say, like, what do we need to do to solve this disease? Like, we got to be working together, not against each other. And so there's a lot of that I'm seeing. It's really nice to be back in person because you get those connections more.
Thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you very much.